I was hosting my first family holiday and accidentally burned the rolls. My father-in-law shook his head and said, "This is why we never pass the apron to her." My mother-in-law laughed and pulled out a fully cooked meal, hers. "We brought real food just in case," she said. My husband looked embarrassed for me. After dinner, they posed for photos and cropped me out of every single one. On social media, they captioned it, "Family, just the real ones." I planned Thanksgiving like it was a test I had to pass. My first time hosting. My chance to finally feel like part of Matt's family instead of just someone he married. We live in Cedar Rapids, quiet, cold in November, not much to do unless you like cornfields and strip malls. But I made our little house warm and clean and full of food that day. I wanted it to feel like a real home. I woke up before sunrise. Turkey went in the oven by 6 a.m. I cleaned, set the table, even folded cloth napkins the way my mom used to when we had guests. I didn't buy anything pre-made. Everything was homemade. I followed recipes. Checked everything twice. Only thing I messed up was the rolls. I left them in too long. They were too brown on the bottom. Not burnt to a crisp, just not perfect. And of course, that's what his dad noticed first. He walked in, looked at the rolls, shook his head. "This is why we never pass the apron to her." Like it was some family joke I wasn't in on. I froze. I had a spatula in my hand and just stood there. Sharon, his mom, came in right behind him, carrying 2 big foil trays. "We brought real food just in case," she said. She smiled while she said it, but it felt like she slapped me. She opened the foil like she was proud. Their own turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, green beans, even her own damn rolls. All hot, all ready to serve. She hadn't told me she was bringing anything. No call, no text. Nothing. I had made everything already. My table was full of food I had worked on since morning. And now they were setting up a second Thanksgiving on top of mine. Nobody said a word. Not Matt. Not his dad. They just started helping her plate everything. I felt like I was watching someone take over my kitchen. We sat down to eat. They didn't even uncover my food. Sharon served hers like it was the only thing that mattered. She even had labels for her dishes written in cursive on tiny cards. Matt took her plate and smiled. Didn't say a word about mine. I sat there with an empty plate. Pretended I was too full to eat. My stomach was in knots anyway. No one asked me why I wasn't eating. After dinner, they cleaned up her dishes, packed the leftovers in the containers they had brought from home. They left mine sitting there, untouched. Then came the photos. Everyone lined up in front of the fireplace. Sharon pulled out her phone. "Get in here, Matt," she called. "Family picture." I was standing right there. She didn't look at me. I tried to brush it off. I stepped into the photo, thinking maybe I was just being sensitive. "We'll do one more, just the core group," Sharon said after the first picture. I stepped aside. I was the only one who did. No one asked me to come back in. They took more pictures. Laughing. Arms around each other. Full plates. Glasses raised. Later that night, I went on Facebook. Sharon had already posted them. Photo of Matt, Sharon, his dad, and his sister. Caption: "Family. Just the real ones." Another of Matt holding a plate of her food. Caption: "Back to tradition." I checked the photo she took on my phone when I asked her to get one with everyone. It was black. She hadn't pressed the shutter. Matt didn't say anything about it. When I asked him if he saw the posts, he just shrugged and said, "They don't mean anything by it." But I felt it. It wasn't just the food. Or the photo. It was everything. The way they talked over me. The way they only talked to me when they needed something. The way I didn't belong. And if Matt didn't see it, or didn't want to defend me, I knew I had to handle it myself. I made a decision that night. They wanted a show. Next year, I'd give them one. And this time, they'd remember it. Every last part. The next morning, I woke up before Matt. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about the way Sharon looked at me when she served that turkey. Like she was proud to be cutting me out. I didn't say anything that day. I just watched. And I started planning. The first thing I did was stop trying. No more nice daughter-in-law. No more texts to Sharon asking if she wanted to grab lunch or if she needed help with anything. I pulled back. I didn't make a scene. I just disappeared from her daily life. Quiet.
Calm.
She noticed. A week later, she texted, "Everything okay? Haven't heard from you." I ignored it. That Christmas, we went to their house. I brought cookies I knew no one would eat and sat on the couch while they passed gifts around. Sharon handed out matching pajamas to everyone. Even Matt's sister's boyfriend got a pair. There was nothing for me. She looked surprised.
Oh.
I must have forgotten your size. I didn't say anything. Matt didn't either. He looked at me like he wanted to crawl under the rug. After that night, I stopped going to their family stuff. Matt would go alone. I made excuses. Work. Not feeling well. Maybe next time. They made jokes about it in group texts I could see. Sharon once wrote, "At least we know she won't burn anything this year," followed by a laugh emoji. But I didn't react. I just saved the messages. Every photo. Every comment. Every time they tried to crop me out of his life. I saved it all. By spring, Matt started to notice the change in me. "You're being distant," he said one night while we were doing the dishes. "I'm tired," I told him. Tired of what? I dried my hands and looked at him. Tired of pretending I'm part of something I'm not. He didn't answer. And that's when I saw it. He knew. He'd always known. But admitting it meant admitting he was okay with how they treated me. So I started step 2. I dug in. I found out Sharon was hosting a charity brunch in August. One of those ladies who lunch, events where they wear pearls and drink mimosas while pretending to save the world. She posted about it constantly, even made a flyer. I donated anonymously. Not a lot, just enough to get my name listed as a supporter. Then I contacted the event coordinator and asked to volunteer. Sharon didn't know I was going to be there. When the day came, I showed up in a clean white blouse and black slacks. Hair tied back. Polite smile. I was assigned to greet guests at the door. The look on Sharon's face when she walked in? She didn't even hide it. "Oh," she said. "Didn't know you'd be here." "Just helping out," I said. "Anything for a good cause." She couldn't say anything. Not in front of her friends. So she just smiled and walked past me like I was hired help. That was fine. That was exactly what I wanted. By the end of the event, I had shaken hands with her entire friend group. I knew their names, their husbands' names, and the charities they liked. I stayed behind to clean up. I heard Sharon tell one of her friends, "Well, at least she's good at wiping tables." That's when I knew this wasn't just about a burnt roll or a missed photo. She hated that Matt married someone she couldn't control. Someone who didn't fit into the perfect picture she was always trying to take. She wanted a daughter-in-law she could mold. I wasn't that. But I could be something else. I could be the storm she didn't see coming. That summer, I did something big. Matt's job offered him a 6-month transfer to the company's Minneapolis branch. It was optional but good money. A nice change of pace. And most importantly, it would give us space from his family. I told Matt I thought it would be good for us. A reset. He agreed. We moved in July. Sharon lost it. She called 3 times the first week. Left voicemails. "You're taking my son away," she said in one of them. "I knew this would happen the moment he married you." I didn't answer. Matt did, though, once or twice. Short, quiet calls. I could tell he was starting to see her differently. Starting to understand what I'd been dealing with. We settled into a small apartment. For the first time since we got married, it was peaceful. No last-minute visits.
No surprise meals. No guilt trips.
Just us. I started working part-time at a local bakery. I liked it. It was simple. No drama. I made friends. I started to feel like myself again. But I didn't forget. I still had everything. Screenshots, photos, voice messages. I wasn't going to use them yet, but I had a plan. Then September came, and I got a text from Matt's sister. "Did you see Sharon's post?" I didn't respond, but I went to Facebook. There it was. A long post with old family photos, most of them heavily edited. In one of them, Matt and I had originally been standing together. She cropped me out and then, no joke, photoshopped in the family dog between him and his sister. The caption read, "Missing my babies. The real ones. Can't wait for Thanksgiving." Over 100 comments. Friends, church ladies, neighbors. All saying how beautiful her family was. How lucky she was. Not one person seemed to notice I was missing. Not even Matt's aunt who had been at our wedding. That's when I decided I wasn't going to wait for next Thanksgiving. I was going to make my move before we got back. I reached out to one of Sharon's church friends, Bethany. She and I had talked at that charity brunch. She liked me. She also liked gossip. I told her, gently, that Sharon seemed upset we moved away. I didn't say anything bad, just let her read between the lines. She asked questions. I answered with little pieces. I think she was hurt I didn't ask for her recipe for stuffing, I'd say. Or, she didn't seem happy that Matt wanted a quieter holiday last year. Bethany ate it up. It wasn't long before it started to ripple. Sharon's little perfect image? It had cracks. One of the other ladies asked if she'd really said the real family thing. Another wondered why she didn't have any pictures of me on her page. Then the messages started coming in. From Sharon. First one. What exactly have you been saying about me? I didn't answer. Second one. If you want war, you'll get it. That one made me laugh. She had no idea what war looked like. Not yet. Because the final piece of my plan wasn't just about exposing her. It was about flipping the whole story. Making her the one on the outside. And I had the perfect way to do it. Here's how it ended. Matt and I moved back to Cedar Rapids in early November, just before the holidays. Not for Sharon. Not for family. For work. His 6-month project ended, and he got offered a promotion right here in Iowa. I could feel the tension the minute we drove back into town. It was quiet between us. He knew something was coming. I did too. Sharon called him 4 times before we even finished unpacking. I told him, answer if you want, but don't expect me to play happy. He nodded. He didn't argue. Then came her big Thanksgiving invite. A whole event. She sent an email, then a group text, then a paper invitation in the mail. Like she was hosting a royal banquet. It said, "Back to family roots, home-cooked food, just like always." I laughed when I saw it. It was like she was taunting me. Matt didn't want to go, but I told him we should. Just once. Just to see it through. He agreed. I showed up different this time. Hair done.
Calm. Cold.
I brought nothing. Not even a pie. Just me. I walked into her house like it wasn't hers anymore.
She smiled when she saw me.
One of those fake smiles that doesn't touch the eyes. "Oh," she said. "You came." "Wouldn't miss it," I replied. The house was filled with people, extended family, neighbors, a few church folks. Sharon was in her element, giving tours of the kitchen, pointing out decorations, showing off her table. Then, about halfway through dinner, I stood up and tapped my glass. Just once. The whole room went quiet. "I just wanted to say thank you," I said, my voice loud and clear. "To everyone here. Especially Sharon." She beamed. Until I kept talking. "Last year, I made a full Thanksgiving dinner. Spent all day cooking. Only to be told I wasn't real family. To be laughed at, ignored, cropped out of every photo. People looked confused. A few looked uncomfortable. I didn't say anything then. But I kept the receipts. Every message. Every photo. Every time I was pushed out and humiliated." Sharon's smile faded. "And since this is about family, real family, I figured now's a good time to show everyone what that really looked like." I pulled out my phone, opened a shared album I had created. Just the real ones. It had screenshots, texts, photos of the Facebook posts with me cut out, her voice message calling me, a mistake Matt will wake up from one day. I had it connected to the living room TV. One tap, and it was on screen for all to see. People gasped. Her church friend Bethany whispered something to the woman next to her. Matt's sister put her fork down. Sharon stood up, red-faced. You're ruining Thanksgiving. No, I said. You did that last year. I'm just giving it a name. She looked at Matt like he should do something. He didn't. He stayed seated, head down. And that's when I realized I wasn't mad at Sharon anymore. Not really. I was mad at myself for letting it go on, for pretending, for needing their approval. So I did the last thing I planned to do. I turned to Matt and said, in front of everyone, I won't do this again.
Not with them.
Not with you. And I walked out. I didn't pack a bag that night. I had already moved some things to a friend's place the week before. I had known this was coming. I just didn't know if I'd go through with it. But I did. Matt called the next day. I didn't answer. He came by once and I told him through the door, if you couldn't stand up for me then, don't expect me to stand by you now. And that was it. They called me the outsider. So I showed them exactly what happens when you push someone too far. Now Sharon gets to host all the dinners she wants, with her real family. No edits needed, because I'm not in the picture anymore. And I never will be again.